The Vornak hunting party moved through the tall grass of the savanna world with perfect silence. Their scales caught the dim light of the setting suns, shifting colors to match the golden brown around them. Leader K'Atris raised one clawed hand, and the 12 hunters behind him stopped without a sound. They had tracked the strange creatures for 3 days now. The beings walked on 2 legs like the Vornak, but they had no scales, no claws worth mentioning, and teeth that could barely tear raw meat. K'Atris had watched them from a distance and felt only contempt. "They are weak," he had told his hunters. "They wrap themselves in the skins of other animals because they have no protection of their own. They carry tools because their bodies are soft. They are prey pretending to be predators." The Vornak were the apex predators of 7 worlds. They had conquered every species they encountered, either through violence or through the simple fact that nothing could stand against them in direct conflict. Their scales could turn aside most weapons. Their muscles could snap bones with ease. Their senses were sharp enough to hunt in total darkness. Now they watched this new species with hungry eyes. The humans had set up a small camp near a river. There were perhaps 30 of them, a mix of adults and younger ones. They had built simple shelters and started fires that sent smoke into the sky. K'Atris studied them carefully. He had seen them hunt the local animals with strange devices that threw small projectiles. The weapons made loud sounds that echoed across the plains. Some of his hunters had suggested these weapons might be dangerous, but K'Atris had dismissed such concerns. "We have faced species with weapons before," he said. "We are faster, we are stronger, we will take them in the night when they cannot see." But one of his younger hunters, a female named Vess, had questioned this plan. "Leader, should we not observe them longer? We know nothing of these creatures. They might have defenses we have not seen." K'Atris had silenced her with a sharp hiss. "I have hunted for 40 cycles. I know prey when I see it. These soft things will make good slaves or good food. Either way, we attack tonight." Now the moment had come. The 2 suns had set and darkness covered the land. The human camp glowed with the light of their fires, which made them easy to see. K'Atris could hear them talking in their strange language, making sounds that seemed to carry laughter and comfort. "They do not even post proper guards," K'Atris whispered to his hunters. "They are not afraid of the night. They have never faced a real predator." He gave the signal, and the Vornak began their approach. They spread out in a wide circle, moving closer with each heartbeat. Their heat vision showed them the warm bodies of the humans clearly against the cooler night air. K'Atris was 50 meters from the camp when the first human spotted him. It was a female, and she let out a sharp cry that brought the others running. But instead of the panic K'Atris expected, the humans moved with quick efficiency. They gathered their young ones into the center of the camp while the adults grabbed their weapons. K'Atris felt a moment of surprise, but he pushed it aside. Prey sometimes tried to fight back. It never mattered. "Attack!" he roared, and the Vornak charged. What happened next would haunt K'Atris for the rest of his very short life. The humans did not scatter. They did not freeze. They formed a tight circle around their young and opened fire with their weapons. The sound was deafening, flashes of light cutting through the darkness. K'Atris felt something punch into his shoulder. It burned like nothing he had ever felt. He looked down and saw dark blood flowing from a hole in his scales. Scales that had stopped blades and arrows and the teeth of great beasts. All around him, his hunters were falling. The projectiles the humans used were not like anything the Vornak had faced before. They moved faster than the eye could follow, and they did not care how tough Vornak scales were. K'Atris stumbled and fell. He tried to rise, but his legs would not obey. He could only watch as the remaining hunters tried to retreat, only to be cut down by the relentless human weapons. Then the humans did something that shocked K'Atris more than the battle itself. They stopped shooting. 2 of them approached him carefully, their weapons raised but not firing. They spoke to each other in their strange language, and one of them knelt beside him. He felt a sharp pain in his arm and then a spreading warmth. "Why?" K'Atris managed to ask in the common trade language that most species knew. "Why do you not finish me?" The human who had knelt beside him looked surprised. Then he spoke in the same language, though his accent was strange. "You can talk. Good. Why did you attack us?" "You are prey," K'Atris said, though the words felt foolish now. "We are Vornak. We are apex predators." The human made a sound that K'Atris realized was laughter, but it was not cruel laughter. It was the laughter of someone who had heard a joke they did not expect. "We have a saying among my people," the human said. "Do not judge a book by its cover. It means that things are not always what they appear to be." K'Atris tried to move, but his body felt heavy and strange. "What did you put in me?" "Medicine," the human said. "It will help with the pain and slow the bleeding. We will try to save your life if we can." "Why?" K'Atris asked again. He could not understand these creatures. The human sat back on his heels and looked at K'Atris with an expression the Vornak could not read. "Because we are not just predators. We are something more complicated than that. We can kill, yes. We are very good at killing when we need to be. But we can also choose not to kill. We can show mercy. We can heal our enemies and try to understand them." "That is weakness," K'Atris said. But even as he spoke, he was not sure he believed it anymore. "No," the human said. "That is what makes us human." More humans were coming now, carrying boxes and strange devices. They spread out among the fallen Vornak, and K'Atris was shocked to see them trying to help the wounded hunters. "Your friend," K'Atris said, gesturing weakly at a human who lay still on the ground. "We killed some of you." The human's face changed. Pain showed in his eyes and something hard beneath it. "Yes, you did, and we will mourn them. We will remember them, but that does not mean we must become monsters in return." K'Atris felt consciousness slipping away. The medicine was pulling him into darkness, but before he went, he had one more question. "What are you called? What is the name of your species?" The human looked down at him with those strange, soft eyes that had seen so much death tonight without breaking. "We are humans," he said, "and you made a mistake that many species have made before you. You thought that because we look soft, we must be weak. You thought that because we do not have claws and scales, we are not dangerous. But we are the most dangerous thing you will ever meet. Not because of what we can do with our bodies, but because of what we can do with our minds." K'Atris wanted to ask more, but the darkness took him. When he woke, he was in a strange place. The walls were white and clean, and he lay on a soft surface that supported his body. His wounds had been treated with care that his own healers could not match. Strange devices beeped and hummed around him, monitoring his life signs. A human sat beside his bed, reading from a small glowing device. When he saw that K'Atris was awake, he set the device aside and called out to someone in the hallway. K'Atris tried to move, but he was restrained. Soft bands held his arms and legs in place. He could have broken them easily if he were at full strength, but he was weak from blood loss and whatever drugs they had given him. "Do not struggle," the human said. "You will hurt yourself." "Where am I?" K'Atris asked. "You are on our ship," the human said. "We brought you here to give you proper medical care. Your wounds were severe, but our doctors were able to save your life." "And my hunters?" The human's face became serious. 7 of them died in the attack. 4 are here with you, recovering from their injuries. 1 escaped into the night. K'Atris absorbed this information. 8 of his hunters, dead or captured. 1 fleeing in shame. It was the worst defeat in Vornak hunting history. "What will you do with us?" K'Atris asked. "That depends," the human said. "We want to understand why you attacked us. We want to know if this was the action of a small group or if it represents the policy of your entire species. We want to know if there can be peace between us or if there will be war." K'Atris thought about this. Among the Vornak, such questions would never be asked. An enemy was an enemy. You killed them or you died trying. The idea of negotiation, of trying to understand, was foreign to him. "We are Vornak," he said finally. "We are predators. We do not make peace with prey." The human nodded slowly. "I thought you might say something like that. Let me show you something." He touched a panel on the wall, and a section of it became clear like glass. Through it, K'Atris could see into space. Stars burned in the eternal darkness, more than he could count. "Do you see that star there?" The human pointed to a bright point of light. "That is where we come from, a planet called Earth. It circles that star, and we have lived there for millions of years." K'Atris did not understand why this mattered. "On our world," the human continued, "we were not always the apex predators. There were creatures much larger than us, much stronger, with sharper teeth and claws. They could have killed us easily." "What happened to them?" K'Atris asked. "They are gone," the human said simply. "All of them. Every species that threatened us, every predator that hunted us is extinct. Not because we were bigger or stronger, but because we learned. We adapted. We worked together. We invented tools and weapons that made their natural advantages meaningless." He turned to face K'Atris directly. "You come from a species that has relied on physical strength for your entire history. Your scales, your claws, your muscles, they have always been enough. But they are not enough anymore. We have weapons that can kill you from a distance you cannot even see. We have ships that can destroy your worlds from orbit. We have the ability to end your entire species if we choose to do so." K'Atris felt something he had never felt before in his entire life. He felt afraid. "But we do not choose to do so," the human said. "That is what makes us different from you. We have the power to destroy, but we prefer to build. We have the ability to conquer, but we prefer to cooperate. We could wipe out every species that threatens us, but we would rather make them into allies." "Why?" K'Atris asked. It was becoming his most common question. "Because the universe is vast," the human said. "And there are threats out there that none of us can face alone. Because cooperation makes us all stronger. Because we have learned that killing every enemy does not make you safe. It just means you have no one left to help you when something worse comes along." K'Atris lay in his bed and tried to process what he was hearing. It went against everything he had ever been taught, everything he had ever believed. The Vornak way was dominance through strength. The strong ruled the weak. That was the natural order. But if the humans were telling the truth, they had power that the Vornak could not match. They were the strong ones here, and yet they were offering something other than domination. "What do you want from us?" K'Atris asked. "We want to talk," the human said. "We want to learn about your people and share information about ours. We want to establish rules that will prevent conflicts like what happened on that planet. We want to see if there is a way for our species to coexist. And if we refuse?" The human's eyes hardened. "Then we will defend ourselves. Make no mistake, Vornak. We do not want war, but we are very good at it. If your people force us to fight, we will fight. And we will win. Not because we enjoy killing, but because we will do whatever is necessary to protect our people." K'Atris believed him. There was no boasting in the human's voice, no attempt to impress. He was simply stating facts. "I will think on what you have said," K'Atris said finally. The human nodded and stood. "That is all we ask. Rest now, heal. We will talk more when you are stronger." He left the room, and K'Atris was alone with his thoughts. For hours he lay in the strange bed and stared at the stars through the window. He thought about his life, about the hunts he had led, about the species he had conquered. He had always believed that strength was the only thing that mattered, that the strong had the right to take from the weak. But the humans had shown him something different. They had power beyond anything the Vornak possessed. They could have killed him and all his hunters without mercy. Instead, they had saved their lives and offered to talk. It was a kind of strength that K'Atris had never considered before. The strength to hold back, to show mercy, to choose peace when war was easier. It required more courage than any hunt he had ever been on. By the time the human doctors came to check on him the next morning, K'Atris had made a decision. "I will speak with your leaders," he said. "I will listen to what they have to say, and I will take a message back to my people." "What message?" the doctor asked. "That we have met a species we cannot defeat, and that for the first time in our history, the Vornak must learn a new way." The next several days passed slowly for K'Atris. The human doctors cared for him with a skill that amazed him. Their medicine was far beyond anything the Vornak possessed. They could see inside his body without cutting him open. They could heal wounds that would have killed any Vornak in less than a day. They even managed to regrow some of the muscle tissue that had been destroyed by their weapons. As he recovered, K'Atris was allowed to move around the human ship. He walked through corridors filled with strange technology, passing humans who looked at him with curiosity but not fear. Some of them even nodded or spoke words of greeting. It was deeply unsettling. Among the Vornak, a captured enemy would be treated as a slave at best, food at worst. The idea of allowing a prisoner to walk freely was unthinkable, and yet here he was, wandering through the heart of a human vessel, learning their secrets. One day, a human female approached him. She was older than most of the others, with gray in her hair and lines on her face. She introduced herself as Commander Sarah Chen, the leader of this ship. "I want to show you something," she said. "Will you come with me?" K'Atris agreed. He had nothing else to do, and he was curious about these strange beings. She led him to a large room filled with glowing screens and strange devices. Humans sat at various stations, watching information flow across their displays. It seemed to be some kind of command center. "This is where we control our ship," Commander Chen explained. "From here, we can navigate through space, communicate with other human vessels, and defend ourselves if necessary." "How many ships do you have?" K'Atris asked. "I cannot tell you exact numbers," she said, "but enough to make war with us a very bad idea for any species." She touched one of the screens and an image appeared. It showed a planet from space, a blue and green world covered with clouds. "This is Earth," she said. "Our home. 8 billion humans live there." K'Atris stared at the image. 8 billion. The entire Vornak species numbered perhaps 50 million across 7 worlds. These humans had more people on one planet than the Vornak had in their entire empire. "We also have colonies on other worlds," Commander Chen continued. "Dozens of them, and more humans spreading out through the galaxy every year." "Why are you telling me this?" K'Atris asked. "Because I want you to understand what you were challenging when you attacked our survey team," she said. "Those people on the planet were scientists and explorers. They were studying the local ecosystem, learning about the plants and animals. They were not warriors. They fought like warriors." "Yes," Commander Chen agreed. "Because every human learns to defend themselves. We do not send our people into unknown territory without the ability to protect themselves. But they are not soldiers. They are curious people who want to understand the universe." She brought up another image, this one showing the Vornak homeworld. K'Atris recognized the dark jungles and red seas of his birth planet. "We know where your people come from," Commander Chen said. "We have been watching you for some time, learning about your society and your culture. We knew about your expansion into new territories. We knew about your history of conquering other species." "Then why did you land on that planet?" K'Atris demanded. "You knew we might find you." "We did not expect you to attack without any attempt at communication," Commander Chen said. "Most species, even aggressive ones, will try to talk before they fight. You did not even give us the chance to explain who we were." K'Atris felt something like shame, though he tried to push it away. "We are Vornak. We do not talk to prey." Commander Chen looked at him with an expression that was hard to read. And look where that attitude has brought you. 8 of your hunters dead, 4 more wounded, your reputation as apex predators shattered, all because you refuse to consider that other beings might be more than they appear. She shut off the screens and turned to face him directly. I am going to make you an offer, K'Atris. You can accept it or reject it, but I want you to think carefully before you decide. What offer? We will take you back to your people. We will give you a message to deliver to your leaders. The message is simple. We want peace, but we will not accept aggression. If the Vornak agree to talk, we will establish diplomatic relations. If the Vornak choose war, we will defend ourselves without mercy. K'Atris considered this. And what is my role in this? You are the proof, Commander Chen said. You attacked us and we defeated you easily. But instead of killing you, we saved your life and treated you with respect. We are showing your people what kind of species we are. We are showing them that they have a choice. My leaders will not listen to me, K'Atris said. I am a failed hunter. I led my people into a disaster. They will more likely kill me than hear my words. Commander Chen smiled slightly. That is possible, but I think you underestimate yourself. You have seen things that no other Vornak has seen. You have learned things that no other Vornak knows. That knowledge makes you valuable, even if your hunt was a failure. K'Atris thought about her words for a long time. He thought about what would happen if he returned to his people with this message. He thought about what would happen if the Vornak chose war with the humans. I have a condition, he said finally. Name it. One of my hunters, Vess, she questioned my decision to attack. I silenced her. If she had been leader, perhaps this disaster would not have happened. Commander Chen nodded slowly. I remember her. She is recovering well. She should come with me, K'Atris said. She should help me deliver this message. Her voice might carry weight where mine does not. Because she was right and you were wrong. Yes, K'Atris admitted. It was the hardest thing he had ever said. Commander Chen studied him for a long moment. Then she extended her hand in what K'Atris had learned was a human gesture of agreement. You are more than I expected, K'Atris. Perhaps there is hope for your people after all. K'Atris took her hand carefully, aware of how easily his claws could cut her soft skin. Perhaps there is hope for both our peoples. 2 days later, K'Atris and Vess stood in the hangar bay of the human ship. They were being given a small vessel, enough to get them back to Vornak space. The other surviving hunters would remain on the human ship as guests, free to leave when they wished. Vess had agreed to accompany K'Atris without hesitation. She had changed during her time with the humans. The questions that had always lurked in her eyes now burned brighter than ever. The humans have taught me many things, she told K'Atris as they prepared to leave. Things that our people need to hear. Our way is not the only way. Strength is not the only measure of worth. They will call us traitors, K'Atris warned her. Perhaps, Vess agreed. But they will not be able to deny what we have seen. The humans are everything we are not. They are soft where we are hard. They are many where we are few. They have weapons we cannot match and technology we do not understand. And yet they chose mercy instead of destruction. Commander Chen came to see them off. She brought gifts, data crystals containing information about humanity, recordings of their conversations, proof that what K'Atris and Vess claimed was true. Whatever happens, she said, know that you tried. Sometimes that is all we can do. What if we fail? K'Atris asked. What if our leaders choose war? Commander Chen's face became serious. Then we will do what we must, but I hope it does not come to that. The universe is a better place with the Vornak in it, even if we do not always agree. Diversity makes us all stronger. K'Atris climbed into the small ship with Vess at his side. As they powered up the engines and prepared to leave, he looked back at the humans one last time. They were standing in the hangar, watching them go. Some waved their hands in farewell. Others simply stood with expressions of hope on their strange, soft faces. They were nothing like what K'Atris had expected. They were better. The journey back to Vornak space took several weeks. K'Atris and Vess spent most of that time planning what they would say, how they would approach the council of hunters that ruled their people. They knew it would not be easy. The Vornak had never accepted peace with another species. They had never admitted weakness or defeat. To suggest that they could not win against the humans would be seen as cowardice. But they had evidence. They had the data crystals. They had their own testimony. And they had something else, something that might convince even the most stubborn hunter. They had survived. When they finally arrived at the Vornak homeworld, they were immediately taken into custody. News of the failed hunt had spread, and K'Atris was considered a disgrace. He and Vess were brought before the Council of Hunters in chains. The council chamber was a vast hall carved from black stone. 12 hunters sat on high seats, looking down at K'Atris and Vess with contempt. "You have brought shame upon our people," the chief hunter declared. "You challenged prey and were defeated. You allowed yourself to be captured by soft-skinned aliens. You should be executed for your failure." K'Atris stood straight despite his chains. "I accept responsibility for my failure. I was foolish and arrogant. I led my hunters into a trap because I could not see past my own assumptions." "Then you admit your guilt." "I admit my mistakes," K'Atris said, "but I have brought something back that is worth more than my life. I have brought knowledge that our people need to hear." The chief hunter leaned forward. "What knowledge could possibly excuse your failure?" K'Atris took a deep breath. This was the moment that would determine everything. "The humans are not prey," he said. "They are predators, the greatest predators we have ever encountered. They have weapons that can kill us from distances we cannot comprehend. They have numbers that dwarf our entire species. They have ships that could destroy our worlds without ever landing on them." The council members murmured among themselves. One of them called out, "You speak like a coward. No species is greater than the Vornak." "That is what I believed," K'Atris agreed. "Until I saw them in action. Until I watched them cut down my hunters like grass before a scythe. Until I realized that our scales mean nothing against their weapons." He gestured to Vess, who produced the data crystals. "These contain proof of what I am saying. Images of human technology, records of their military strength, evidence of their expansion through the galaxy. They are not hiding from us. They are not afraid of us. They are simply giving us a choice." The chief hunter examined one of the crystals with obvious suspicion. "What choice?" "Peace or war," Vess spoke up. "The humans want to talk. They want to establish relations with our people. They saved our lives when they could have killed us. They treated us with respect when they could have tortured us. They are offering us something we have never been offered before." "What is that?" "A chance to survive," Vess said. "A chance to grow beyond what we have always been. A chance to be part of something larger than ourselves." The council chamber fell silent. The hunters looked at each other, uncertain. They had never faced anything like this before. Finally, the chief hunter spoke. "You are asking us to abandon everything we believe. You are asking us to show weakness to aliens. You are asking us to change who we are." "Yes," K'Atris said simply. "Because if we do not change, we will die. Not today, not tomorrow, but soon. The humans are not the only powerful species in the galaxy. They have told us of others, some friendly and some hostile. If we continue as we have always been, attacking every species we encounter, eventually we will meet one that will destroy us without mercy. And these humans will show us mercy." "They already have," K'Atris said. "I am standing here because they chose to let me live. My hunters are recovering on their ship because they chose to heal us. They could have wiped out our hunting party and moved on without a word. Instead, they sent us back with a message of peace." The chief hunter sat back in his chair. His ancient eyes studied K'Atris for a long moment. "You have given me much to consider," he said finally. "Guards, take them to the holding cells. The council will deliberate." As K'Atris was led away, he caught Vess's eye. She gave him a small nod. They had done what they could. Now the fate of their people rested with the council. 3 days passed. K'Atris and Vess sat in their cells and waited. They were not mistreated, but they were not given any information either. They simply waited. On the 4th day, the doors opened and the chief hunter himself entered. He was old, older than any Vornak K'Atris had ever seen. His scales were gray and cracked, but his eyes were still sharp. "I have watched the recordings," he said. "I have studied the data. I have spoken with the other council members." K'Atris stood and faced him. "And what have you decided?" The chief hunter was silent for a long moment. Then he did something that shocked K'Atris to his core. He removed the chains from K'Atris's wrists. "We have decided to send a diplomatic mission to the humans," the chief hunter said. "You and Vess will lead it. You will speak for the Vornak people. You will negotiate the terms of peace." K'Atris could barely believe what he was hearing. "The council has agreed to this." "Not all of them," the chief hunter admitted. "Some called for war regardless of the consequences. Some called for your execution. But enough of us recognize the truth in your words. We are predators, yes, but we are not fools. We will not throw our people's lives away against an enemy we cannot defeat." He placed a hand on K'Atris's shoulder, a gesture of respect that K'Atris had never expected to receive. "You have done something no Vornak has done before," the chief hunter said. "You have admitted you were wrong. You have learned from your enemies. You have brought us a chance at survival. That is not weakness. That is the greatest strength of all." 1 month later, K'Atris stood on the bridge of a Vornak diplomatic vessel. Beside him was Vess, now his second in command. Behind them stood a delegation of hunters, diplomats, and scientists, all chosen to represent their people in this historic moment. Before them, through the viewport, floated a massive human station. It was beautiful in its way, all gleaming metal and lights, a symbol of what humanity had built through cooperation rather than conquest. "Are you ready?" Vess asked. K'Atris thought about everything that had brought him to this moment: the failed hunt, the capture, the lessons he had learned, the courage it had taken to speak the truth to the council. "Yes," he said, "I am ready." The shuttle carried them across the void to the human station. When the doors opened, Commander Chen was there to greet them. "Welcome," she said. "We have been looking forward to this moment." K'Atris stepped onto the station, the first Vornak to do so in peace rather than war. Behind him, his delegation followed. In the years to come, there would be challenges. Not every Vornak accepted the new way. Not every human trusted the former predators. But slowly, carefully, the two species built something neither had expected. They built friendship. They built trade. They built a future. And when new threats emerged from the depths of space, they faced them together. Human ingenuity and Vornak ferocity, combined in ways that neither species could have imagined alone. K'Atris lived long enough to see Vornak and humans fighting side by side, protecting each other, trusting each other. He saw young hunters traveling to human worlds to learn, and human scholars coming to study Vornak culture. On the day he died, surrounded by friends both scaled and smooth-skinned, K'Atris thought about the hunt that had changed everything. He thought about the humans who had shown him mercy when they had every right to show none. And he smiled. Because in the end, the humans had not defeated the Vornak. They had saved them. They had given them something more valuable than any conquered world. They had given them a chance to become something better than they had ever been. And that, K'Atris realized, was the true measure of apex predators, not the ability to destroy, but the wisdom to know when not to. The humans understood that better than anyone. and now so did the Vornek.